Spider-Man comics really put a focus on showing Spider-Man was a tough foe to beat. Even the X-Men had a hard time subduing the Spider. Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars 3 showed the iconic fight between Spider-Man and the X-Men, where it wasn't much of a fight for Spider-Man. He literally bursts onto the scene, taking out Cyclops and Professor X right from the get-go. He is leaping out of reach and backflipping out of range. His webs are a vital tool here. They suspend some team members and are said on panel to be stronger than steel. During the fight, after getting trapped in a web, Nightcrawler thinks to himself, his strength, his speed, unbelievable, he is awesome. Me too, Nightcrawler. Even when humbled, talent recognizes talent. Wolverine even yells as Spidey is swinging out that he made the team look like fools and amateurs. Spider-Man and Superboy went toe-to-toe, and now Superboy knows what it feels like to be squashed by a spider. This one might be controversial for this list, since there was a bit of a God in the machine happening here. For this face-off, lots of DC and Marvel characters were pit against each other, and fans could vote which character of a face-off they wanted to see win. So Spider-Man ended up winning that, which is humbling on its own, but then that is why he won the battle in the comic too. It's not like the comic battle wasn't good though. Spidey held his own against Superboy. At one point, a water tower gets busted and floods where the two heroes are fighting. Superboy moves to attack Spider-Man, but instead he gets a personal web experience and crashes into a high voltage box, and you can imagine how that went in the water. The fight was over, Superboy was cooked. The hero for hire Luke Cage became the humbled hero for hire after a tussle with Spider-Man. Cage was hired by J. Jonah Jameson because he hates Spider-Man and he thinks he caused the death of Norman Osborn. Technically Peter did, but no one knows Norman was the Green Goblin, so everyone just thinks that Spider-Man took out a random well-known figure. Luke was hired by Jameson to take out the dangerous Spidey. Jameson offered to pay Cage $5,000 for the job. This comic came out in the 1970s. Take a guess how much $5,000 is today. Over $35,000. J. Jonah Jameson was willing to pay $35,000 to get rid of Spider-Man. He hates him. He never ended up paying the money because, spoiler, the fight with Cage ends with Cage on Spider-Man's side, but it was tough to get him there. Spidey ends up pinning Cage with his webs. He can't move his arms. Once again, Cage is super strong, so it's amazing this is working. While pinned down, Spider-Man is able to explain his side of the story, leading to Cage taking Peter's side and rejecting the job. Humbled him so hard, he quit. It's hard to win against someone who literally can't die and can heal from anything, i.e. Deadpool, and yet Spidey does manage to humble the merc with a mouth every once in a while. It depends on the universe, of course, but one time Spidey was the victor was in Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon. The episode is ridiculous, it has Deadpool in it. It's expected. Deadpool transports him and Spidey to a different realm that is very silly. Spider-Man turns into a whale at one point, there are barn animals, truly it's wild, but Spidey comes out on top, defeating Deadpool by throwing a book of morality at him. Knowing the character, funniest choice Marvel could have made. When it comes to speed, Spider-Man is tough to beat. Not even Wonder Woman stood a chance. There is an Earth out there with all our favorite DC and Marvel heroes, and it's not Hollywood, it's Earth 7642. It was featured in Marvel Treasury Edition 28. In this story, Spider-Man and Wonder Woman end up fighting each other, but only because Wonder Woman doesn't know Spidey that well and thought he was a threat. In her words, it's Spidey's fault that people don't trust him at first because he has a pretty creepy routine. Spider-Man does acknowledge that the spider thing might be unsettling, but in the actual fight, Wonder Woman is throwing more punches. Spidey is holding back because he knows they're both good guys, he just needs Wonder Woman to stop long enough to explain himself. To Wonder Woman's dismay, she clocks that Spidey is way faster than she is, even saying that she is plodding along compared to Peter. She's further humbled when the lights go out, and Peter technically has the upper hand because of his spider sense. Fun fact, Superman and the Hulk face off against each other in this comic. Spider-Man tried to stop the Hulk first, but Supes wouldn't allow it. Spider-Man got his chance to fight the Hulk later. One of the earlier times Spidey fought the Hulk was in Amazing Spider-Man 328. In that issue, Hulk remarks that Spidey was a lot stronger than he remembered, and Spider-Man ends up winning the fight because Hulk had to escape because the sun was coming up, and at this point he could only Hulk out at night. kinda like a vampire. A later fight between the two happened on the news. We watched it as if we were sitting in our local bar, which was kind of fun. The broadcast shows a tough fight between the heroes. Hulk looks like he's winning at one point, patrons start placing bets, but then Spidey kicks the Hulk into a wall and a cement truck falls on him. The Hulk is done hulking and is now under a cement truck sulking. There were a few other times when the heroes brawled, but some of them had outside factors that made the fight kind of unfair, like tranquilizer gas for the Hulk. Peter has told MJ that he thinks he can kill the Hulk, but he has a no-kill rule and never wants to have to make that choice. Spider-Man once gave his all and literally fought to make the Fantastic Four the Fantastic Five. The very first issue of the Amazing Spider-Man comics kicked off the series with a big bang. Spider-Man brawled the Fantastic Four for a shot on the team, and he did it for a number of reasons. One, he was just starting out and deemed an outlaw in his city, so joining an established super team would improve his image. And two, Spider-Man is poor. That has been drilled into our heads since, well, this comic. So Spidey wanted to join the team in the hopes that they would pay him and he could keep his secret identity. Spidey jumped into the F4 headquarters through a window but got trapped in a fancy glass cage. He was infiltrating their headquarters after all. He used his strength to escape the cage, punched the thing clear across the room right into the Human Torch. He used his webs to trap Mr. Fantastic's hands. His spider sense helped him find and trap the Invisible Woman, and when the Human Torch started throwing his fire, Spidey effortlessly leapt out of reach. He really was showing off here to try and make that team. Spidey ended up not joining the team when he found out they don't pay a salary. Spider-Man ends up fighting the Chameleon and news of his strength and power makes the rounds. The comic ends with the F4 reading about Spidey and remarking how strong he is and what his future will be and if they should worry about him. Captain America may have humbled Spider-Man in the MCU, but it's a very different story in the comics. Cap even once admitted that he wasn't as strong as Spider-Man. But the true humbling Cap-Peter moment happened in an alleyway. Peter at this point, he's wanted by the FBI, when is he not? Cap is trying to reason with Peter, but Peter is having a rough go of it. Cap ends up getting punched in the face, but he is holding back a bit, I think, because he can tell that Peter is just acting out because he's going through it. But he does still experience quite a humbling moment on Peter's behalf. Cap takes his shield to block another punch. Peter grabs that shield and smashes it in the captain's face. I wouldn't leave my house for a day if someone beat me with the symbol of my superhero persona, and then to top it off, Peter escaped, adding some salt to the wound. Miles Morales, the main character of the Spider-Verse movies, he humbled all Spider-Men in a way that I have never seen before. Truly, if I was there, I would be so embarrassed. I'm talking about the scene in the second movie when he's running away from like literally every spider person and animal and machine and car and ever evades all of them. He truly is the main character. Sure, he had a bit of help from some friends, but every spider in the universe is coming after him and he escaped. We have to give him his flowers. Iron Man might be a father figure to Peter, but that doesn't mean Spidey will pull his punches when they fight. The Spider-Man and Iron Man of the MCU are so tame in comparison to the comic versions of themselves. Like, MCU Tony would give Peter a juice box and play catch in the backyard. Comic Tony has tried throwing Peter across Manhattan. The Iron Man suit, it is very powerful. It's got top tech in it, Tony is very smart, but he is just an average, vulnerable man without his suit. And he tends to forget that and needs a little reminder every once in a while. Spider-Man has given him that reminder quite a few times. In Amazing Spider-Man 536, Iron Man is after Spidey because Peter is against the Superhuman Registration Act. Peter wins the fight, he overrides Iron Man's armor and then webs him in the face for good measure. Amazing Spider-Man Annual 20 features a bunch of Tony-like time travel stuff, but the important thing to this video is that Spider-Man gets really mad at Tony at one point and throws him into a construction site and then attacks Tony until Tony is saved by time shifting out of that reality and back to his reality. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and make your mark on the comments section down below. This is Juliana signing off. Bye!